Hello, this is Zolonko, and I'm here presenting my second build for the series Broken. This one is a Mirror and Blink Arrow Trapper build. The entire point of this build is to summon a very large number of clones of yourself that all shoot at enemies with bows and arrows and do lots of damage. This is a Saboteur build. I would say that this build was very hard to level. Most of the reason for that is because your minions only scale off of minion damage, and really it's hard to get a lot of minion damage early on as a shadow. You probably could have leveled it a bit easier than I did, but I would say overall if I rated the leveling of this build, it would basically be a 1 out of 10. Until you actually start getting like cluster traps and things, this build is just really hard to level. In the end game, I would say it isn't the most powerful build that I've ever done. It can kill things kind of quickly, but I mean you have to build up. You have to make a lot of these clones before these clones start doing significant amounts of damage. Anyway, that's kind of an overview. I am going to be doing my run through of the Dried Lake for this one. I know that the Dried Lake is probably a bad choice, but I'm only level 60 with this build, and I kind of want to be done with this build already. It's fun, don't get me wrong. And if it's your sort of thing, then it's your sort of thing, but for me, it just really isn't that much fun. So as you notice, I just toss a bunch of traps. My traps explode. I do have chain reaction on this, and that means that my traps will explode all nearby traps, and I just keep tossing copies of myself. These copies have 100% pierce chance because I'm using Infractum as my bow, and I'm also using Drill Neck, which is giving them a bunch of increased damage because of the 100% pierce chance as well. These clones do get both your quiver and your bow. They don't get any of your other stats. They are very weak until you get a really strong bow and a really strong quiver. If you notice, the AoE clear speed definitely leaves something to be desired. You have to throw a bunch of traps. Though the nice thing is that once you throw a bunch of traps, you can just kind of run away. Your minions do their own thing. I basically don't have to do anything for this build. I do have a stone golem that I can summon that can kind of help tank damage. And the nice thing is that despite my build being very squishy, if you notice it only has 1800 health at this point, though that would be the next thing I'd go for if I was continuing this build. Because I've got so much of these clones up at all times, the chances of me dying are very low. Of course, if I find someone who does, say, Flame Blast or something, having a sheer number of minions isn't actually going to help me. Anyway, you can kind of get a feel for how it works right here. I'm going to go ahead and try to find a boss. Hopefully I can either find Vol or, Mirage of Bones in here in just a second. But in the meantime, I'll go ahead and start going over what makes this build work. Actually, no, it's very obvious what makes this build work. There really isn't that much to talk about. You just need to give your clones as much damage as possible, and I mean one major thing is that you need to give them as much duration as possible. By default, these clones only have a 3-second long duration, and clearly that isn't long enough. My build actually dips down by Scion just to pick up the 90% duration there, and also uses an increased duration support gem in order to get as much duration as humanly possible. I'll be switching over to the skill tree as soon as I find a bloody boss. Oh, look, I died. And that's because I was just rushing through. Well, sorry about that. This is what I get for being in a level 67 Dried Lake when I'm level 61 and have a pretty not defensive build. Here, let's make sure I don't die this time by throwing clones. Anyway, it is a fun build, if only because there's lots of indirect damage. The fact that you can just plop down a bunch of clones and run away and everything behind you dies is definitely nice, and I like it. Ah, here we go, here's a boss. Though this guy's going to be a little bit annoying. These are, of course, minions, and they behave more like totems than anything else, in that they stand still and they just shoot. This means that I can't control what they shoot at. As I go into a boss that has a lot of adds nearby, like this one, it's a little annoying to try to get them to hit the right target. However, once they are all hitting the right target, hopefully we will see soon. Wait, did I kill him? Huh, maybe I killed him. Either way, it does a lot of damage once they all hit the same target. You can definitely easily have like 40 clones summoned at once. If you notice, just those few throws brought me up to about 17 clones. It's definitely a nice build to play, and it looks really funny. You can also augment your archers with auras. Right now I don't have any auras because I am running Arctic armor because of how bloody squishy I am. And that is one of the big mistakes of the build. So, let's go into a bit of a deeper dive here. The Infractum is important. Once again, you can only get that once you hit level 53 or whatever. Drill Neck is really nice. Drill Neck, obviously, has been kind of expensive recently. I've been running with the Tabula Rasa. That's another reason why I'm super squishy. I have been working on this Val Regalia, but, you know, I decided to craft it, and crafting it has been taking a while. However, it's getting there, right? It's pretty good. Anyway, passive tree. This is going to look really weird. You come out of Shadow, you avoid taking any of the damage nodes because they don't actually help you at all. And you just blast immediately towards Witch to pick up all the minion damage nodes near Witch. You blast down towards Scion, and you try to pick up skill duration as fast as possible, and then of course the minion nodes near Scion. And then at this point I would just start grabbing health, I'd start grabbing energy shield. In fact, I was going down this way, and I'll go ahead and allocate that point. And I mean, that's all I can really say about it. There isn't anything mysterious or mystical about this build. It works. The link setup here, I've got Mirror Arrow, I've got a link to Trap, and obviously I've got a link to Cluster Trap. I've got minion damage, and I've got increased duration. Increased duration is really nice, especially if you can get some quality on it. What you'd really want to do is you'd want a 6-link Mirror Arrow on one piece, and then you'd want a 6-link Blink Arrow on your bow. This is because the two don't share cooldowns, so you can throw them independently of each other, and you can end up getting lots and lots of clones this way. The way I have it set up currently is I've got Blink Arrow inside of the same links as Mirror Arrow. It's just an easier way to do it, especially with my Tabula Rasa. As soon as I'd retire this Tabula Rasa, which I would eventually if I were to continue playing this build, I would switch to using links on my bow versus links on my chest piece, and that would be better. You could replace that 6th link with a lot of different things. Faster attacks would be kind of an obvious one, and I'm sure there are other ones that would also be pretty effective, like Pierce itself, especially if you wanted to move off Infractum. Speaking of moving off Infractum, you would gain much more damage if you had a nice crafted bow that has a lot more DPS. Infractum does not have very high DPS. I have also briefly considered Chin Soul for this build, because I believe Chin Soul would actually bring much more DPS than Infractum would. And then you could move off of Drill Neck and find, you know, a better quiver as well. Anyway, I'd say that my main mistake with this build is not getting enough defense early enough on. I was just rushing to make this build work in the first place. I do think holding on to a Tabula Rasa all the way until you're level 61 is a poor plan, and you shouldn't do it if you're going to do this build. I would say this build's clear speed is not optimal. If you want something that can blast through maps, this isn't going to get you there. However, it's kind of fun, right? There is no build that's like this build. And I'm sure other people have done builds similar to this before, but this one's just, I don't know, it's nice. The only real reason why you're going Saboteur, you'll notice I haven't even bothered doing Merc Lab on this character, is to get chain reaction, because trap damage doesn't help you. In fact, none of these damage nodes help you at all. Elemental damage doesn't help you at all. It's nice to have 10% chance for traps to trigger an additional time. It's nice to have 2 additional... No, never mind. It's nice to have trap cooldown recovery, and it's nice to have the chain reaction, but the rest of these nodes are useless for you, so just keep that in mind. Anyway, it's been fun. Let me know what you think, and have a fantastic day.